If you ever go hiking in the Appalachian Mountains and you hear someone whistling from the trees, don't whistle back. And if the whistle sounds like it's coming from someone you know, run. Because there's something in the Appalachian forest that has been calling hikers off the trail for decades. It doesn't chase you. It doesn't attack you. It just waits for you to answer. And the worst part? By the time you realize the voice isn't human, you're already too deep in the woods. 2 years ago, 4 of us decided to hike a section of the Appalachian Trail during fall. It was supposed to be a weekend trip, just a few days in the mountains. The group was small: me, my friend Daniel, his sister Mia, and Mia's boyfriend Chris. We started near a quiet section of forest in North Carolina, the kind of place where the trees are so tall they block half the sky. And the deeper you walk, the quieter everything gets. But the first strange thing happened before we even started hiking. At the trailhead, an old ranger was sitting near the information board. He looked like he'd been working in those woods his entire life. Daniel asked him if there were any dangerous animals in the area. The ranger shook his head. "Not the kind you're thinking." Then he looked at us seriously. "If you hear whistling in the woods, don't answer it." We thought he was joking. Even Chris laughed. But the ranger didn't smile. He just said one more thing before we left. "Whatever you hear out there at night, don't follow it off the trail." The first day of hiking was perfect. Golden leaves, cold mountain air, the trail winding through endless forest. We set up camp near a small clearing just before sunset. By night, the woods became incredibly dark. The fire was the only light we had. That's when we heard the first whistle. Short, soft, coming from somewhere in the trees. We all froze. Daniel looked around. "Did you guys hear that?" Chris shrugged. "Probably another hiker." But the strange part was, we hadn't seen anyone on the trail all day. About 5 minutes later, it happened again, another whistle. But this time it sounded closer, almost like someone was standing just beyond the trees. Mia whispered, "Maybe they're lost." Chris cupped his hands and whistled back. The forest went completely silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy. Then we heard something moving in the leaves, not running, walking, slowly, circling our camp. We grabbed our flashlights and pointed them toward the forest. Nothing, just trees. But you know that feeling when someone is watching you? All 4 of us felt it. The fire crackled loudly in the silence. Then, from somewhere behind us, we heard Daniel's voice. "Hey guys, over here!" We all turned instantly. Daniel was sitting right next to me. The voice had come from the woods, and it sounded exactly like him. Daniel stood up slowly. "Okay, that's not funny." Chris grabbed his flashlight. "Someone's messing with us." He walked a few steps toward the trees. Then it happened again. This time, the voice said Chris's name. "Chris." But the voice was coming from deeper in the forest, and it sounded exactly like Mia, except Mia was sitting next to the fire. That's when we remembered the ranger's warning. Whatever you hear out there at night, don't follow it off the trail. For the next hour, the whistling continued, moving around our camp, sometimes far away, sometimes so close it felt like someone was standing just beyond the firelight. But every time we aimed our flashlights, nothing was there. Then, suddenly, the whistling stopped, and we heard footsteps running through the forest. We barely slept that night.
When morning came, the forest felt normal again. Birds chirping, sunlight filtering through the leaves. But when we checked the campsite, Chris's backpack was gone. So was one of the tents. Chris stared at the empty ground. I packed everything right here. No torn fabric, no footprints, just gone. We decided to hike back to the trailhead. None of us wanted to stay another night. Halfway down the trail, we ran into the same ranger from the day before. The moment he saw us, his expression changed. "You heard it, didn't you?" We nodded. He sighed. "People around here call it the caller in the woods." He explained that hikers had reported the same thing for decades, whistling, voices that sounded familiar, and sometimes something calling them by name. The ranger told us something that made my stomach drop. The thing in the forest doesn't chase people. It doesn't attack camps. It just copies voices and waits. Eventually, someone always gets curious. Someone always follows the sound into the trees. And once they leave the trail, they never come back. We drove home that day and tried to forget about it. But something strange happened a few weeks later. Daniel called me late one night. His voice was shaking. "Did you whistle?" "What?" "I heard someone whistling outside my apartment window." He lived 3 floors up, in the middle of the city. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. The whistle sounded exactly like mine. I don't hike the Appalachian Trail anymore, but sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I hear a soft whistle outside my window, and it's getting closer every night.